The Golden Armor Boy Magnamon is back, and today I'll be showing you guys a whole new way to play the deck. Digimon fans, welcome back, and today we'll be showcasing the updated version of the Magnamon and Armor control deck. Magnamon makes a comeback with the new Gold Veedramon that we got from EX4 Alternative Being. With the simple addition of just one card, we can now focus the strategy more with a blue and yellow colors and come up with a super powerful control deck, unlike the Aggro Armor Rush that we're all used to. Don't worry, because I'll be showing you guys how the new build works with all the combos later on, so let's get right into the deck profile first. For Digi-8 cards, we got 4 copies of the BT11 Wanyamon of when attacking once per turn. If you have a blue tamer in play, you get to draw one. We're often enough going to really want to be seeing at least one blue tamer with our deck to sort of facilitate for our combos, and it's just most consistent when it comes to giving us that draw power, which is why we want to play Wanyamon as our main egg. And of course, we also have a 5th egg with Upamon right here. The whole idea is similar with Wanyamon, giving yourself draw power so that you can draw one when attacking, but does require your opponent to have a Digimon with no sources, which doesn't likely happen as most and is not as consistent, which is why we only play this as the one-of, and this is simply just the egg lineup with the 5 eggs. Now let's talk about rookies. We got 4 copies of the new Veemon from BT12. This one is practically the best searcher of the deck because on play it reveals top 3 cards of your deck, adding yourself one card with Imperialdramon in its name or a free trait, and most of the guys that you're playing in this particular deck are free in this trait, and also one card with Davis Motomiya in its name, Tamer among them to your hand, and then place the rest back to the bottom. All your tamers are going to have Davis in their names as well in this particular deck, so it's very easy, very effective with its searching, and it also gives you end of turn capabilities with its inheritable effects, which is just super good, and we do actually utilize that effect every now and then, especially when it comes to this build. Then for more searching, we also have 4 copies of the BT8 Veemon. This one on plays revealing top 4, searching yourself 1, 2 color blue card among them, adding to your hand, bottom decking the rest. Really great because a lot of cards that you play right here do have double color in them and also being blue mostly, so then you can grab the pieces you need, especially finding the cards that you really want to bridge into your combos, which is super important, and yeah, that's why you want to maximize that for. Then for more draw power, we definitely do play the 3 copies of the Start 8 Veemon right here. Just a really good early game card for when attacking. If you have 7 or fewer cards with its inheritable, you get to draw one, and it's not once per turn. It does have the warping capability to help you go into all fours, but we don't play all fours in this particular build. You guys can if you really want to, but overall you just want to have that early game draw power with this particular card. Next, we still have 3 copies of the Jamming Veemon. Really good card as well because it has a lot of synergy, especially when it comes to your Armor Purge combos, so they can survive checks and whatnot, and just have a really strong Digimon on the board to help you give early game checks because it just can't be delayed by Security Battle, which is always fantastic. So most of you guys will probably know that we're going to be getting a new Magnamon from BT13 very soon. With just one new card, the armor deck is once again going to become even stronger and fundamentally change its playstyle entirely, which is completely different than it currently is. So if you guys want to see me cover the updated version or just as excited for all the new BT13 decks coming, then be sure to subscribe and turn on that notification bell to stay tuned. If you just can't wait and want to see early deck lists and first drafts, then join the Evolve Club right now by clicking on the join button or the link on the top right iCard. Also, give this video a like while you're at it, and I greatly appreciate the support from all of you, so thank you guys so much. Next, moving into our level 4s, which is going to be mainly our armor sort of type Digimon cards that we play. We of course definitely have to have the 4 copies of Magnamon right here. This one is just definitely your main go-to level 4, Digivolving for 3 specifically on top of Veemon, and that's why we all only play Veemons in our rookie lineup only for this particular deck. Blocker, Armor Purge, you guys know how good this card really is. Being able to unsuspend, gain extra DP for every armor form you have in your trash for when Digivolving as well until the end of your opponent's next turn, so that you can beef it up. Super strong body right there, and yeah, definitely you want to see this card as often as you can. Next up, we got 2 copies of the brand new Gold Veedramon here. Also, armor form has a lot of new synergy and good synergy with this particular deck as well, also being yellow, and blue. Digivolving mainly for 2 on top of Veemon, has Armor Purge, has when Digivolving, when your opponent's Digimon gets minus 2000 DP for the turn, and then if you have a blue or yellow Tamer in play, or if you have a card with Armor Form and its traits in your trash, one of your opponent's Digimon with 6000 DP or less can't attack or block. We don't really need to see this card as often, therefore that's why we play the 2 copies of, but still a really good control aspect and gives you a totally different kind of playstyle when it comes to armor, and yeah, just a really nice card for sure. Then we got 4 copies of Lydramon. Still also very good at controlling because Digivolving for 2 once again on top of Veemon specifically. Armor Purge, when Digivolving, suspend one of your opponent's level 4 lower Digimon, and you guys can easily swing into it. It's just because of that control aspect of it, but also mainly we're playing for its color purposes of both blue and green, which has a lot of synergy when it comes to all the other cards that we're playing, which is becoming really crucial piece, and therefore I still like to have the 4 copies of this one. Last but not least, we're actually playing 2 copies of Ankylomon right here. This one has an effect of when you would play this card from your hand, if you have a blue Digimon in play, you can reduce the play cost, so being able to pay for 3 memory instead of 4 is very memory efficient. It has also Inheritable of when attacking. If you have a blue Digimon in play, one of your opponent's Digimon gets minus 3000 DP for the turn, and really important card because it helps us synergize with our DNA combos when we get into it, so therefore 2 copies is really all we need right there. That's it for our level 4s. Let's talk about our level 5s. For our main level 5 of the deck, we are actually playing Shakumon. Now, because we have so many yellow and blue level 4s, we can very easily DNA into this guy and very consistently sort of build our stack that way with the DNA Digivolving requirements. By having a level 4 yellow and a level 4 blue, you can combine both of them together. So for when Digivolving, if you have 5 or fewer security, you get to recover 1, and then if you were DNA Digivolving, you get to return one of your opponent's Digimon whose level is less than or equal to the amount of security cards you guys have. So optimally, you can return level 6's Digimon back to your opponent's hand with this effect, and with this guy, it's just super nice and super crucial. And you guys can see why we also play the Ankylomon, so that we can DNA very consistently, and also with the end of turn DNAs into this guy. It also has a Inheritable of when attacking, one of your opponent's Digimon gets minus 3000 DP for the turn, so you can actually control the board a little bit and pop smaller things or weaken your opponent's Digimon to swing over things. Also just a really good card that you always want to be seeing as your main DNA target. Your secondary DNA target is also going to be Chimeramon. Chimeramon just has a lot of value in this particular deck, just because it's one of the best decks to help it fulfill for its multicolor requirement to maximize all of its effects. So of course you can DNA with 2 of any color Digimon that's level 4. When Digivolving, you get to place a level 5 or lower Digimon card from your trash to the bottom of the sources, and then up to 4 of your opponent's Digimon gets minus 1000 DP for each of this Digimon's colors until the end of your opponent's turn. Very easily, you can just rack up so many colors. Mostly, you're going to optimally rack up 4 different colors, including itself for being white, so they can minus 4000 DP, which is super good, and it lasts again until your opponent's next turn. And it also has your turn effect, gaining extra 4000 if it has 4 or more colors. So again, very easy to meet the requirement in this particular deck, which is always going to be what you're going for. Those are your level 5s. Let's talk about your level 6s on how you want to bridge it upon. Definitely 4 copies of Magnamon X Antibody, which is your main boss Digimon of the deck. It can Digivolve for 3 on top of a yellow or blue level 5. Otherwise, you can Digivolve for 4 directly on top of a Magnamon specifically. And then it gives the opponent's turn of your basically infinite blocker right here, redirecting your attacks as long as you have a Digimon card with Armor Form and its traits in its sources, or if you have X Antibody, and being able to get into this guy as early as you can during the game stages really helps you set up a very powerful defensive body on the board, which makes it very difficult for it to be removed as well, and really controls and sort of prolongs the game so you can slowly then chip down your opponents and win that way instead. Also, it has a secondary effect of all turns when it would be deleted, you can place it back at the top of your security stack, protecting the Digimon underneath it so it prevents its deletion, which is going to be super nice. And yeah, really powerful card still to this day, and definitely super strong. Then we have 1 copy of Shadow Seraphimon. Really nice, cool new card from EX4 that has a very good synergy with the entire deck with what it does, especially when it comes to the control aspect. It can mainly Digivolve for 4 costs on top of a yellow level 5, and it also has a alternative Digivolve condition with its black box text to Digivolve for 1 on top of Seraphimon, but we don't play Seraphimon in this deck. First and foremost, it has an opponent's turn effect where when a card is removed from your security stack, you Digivolve 1 on your opponent's Digimon. It's also not once per turn, which is really powerful. It has on deletion, recover 1, and then you get to minus 4000 DP to one of your opponent's Digimon for every card in your security stack. So yeah, very strong defensive card out there, and definitely a very nice secondary boss Digimon to get into the deck. That's it for level 6s. Let's just talk about our level 7s. Very simple, very strong staples that we're trying to go for. One Death X, one Shine Gray. Both these cards are just really good. They can both Digivolve within this deck really nicely. As for Death X, you usually be hard playing this card instead. Whereas for Shine Gray Ruin Mode, Ultra Control for its when Digivolving and on deletion, minus 5k to the entire board, blanket effect, end of attack lane. You recover security, also deleting away your opponent's Digimon, hatch an egg as well, and do a whole bunch of crazy stuff. It's just really what you're trying to go for. And yeah, play whichever you need depending on your personal preference and whatever condition that you're trying to get into with both these cards. That's it for all of our Digimon. Let's talk about Tamers. We got 2 copies of Davis, mainly being your memory tamer, but also being able to search. Potentially getting 2 hits is always optimal value with this particular card, because if you can hit your Lydramon as your green, then you can grab almost anything else that's basically blue. It is very, very efficient. Then we also have 3 copies of Davis Ken. We definitely want to see this a little bit more often, just because it has a lot of synergy with Lydramon particularly. You can gain a lot of memory at the start of your main phase because it fulfills both colors of blue and green Digimon. It also lets you unsuspend when you Digivolve into a 2-color Digimon, so you can do those combos. Armor Rush combos is still kind of applicable to this particular deck, even though it's not as aggro as before. It does come up for you to help you win games, which is really, really nice. And yeah, that's also really important. That's it for all of our Tamers. Now let's talk about our options. For a brand new option right here, we actually want to play 3 copies of Heaven's Judgment. This card is absolutely insane in this deck. For 7 costs, it does require you to have a yellow requirement, but we do play a lot of yellow Digimon cards to fulfill this condition. But while if you have a green Digimon or Tamer in play, you also get to activate this color without meeting its color requirements. Therefore, once again, Lydramon and Davis Ken is going to fulfill that too. Main, activate the effect below. Then for each color your Digimon have, activated again. So basically one of your opponent's Digimon gets minus 6000 DP for the turn, but because we have so many multicolored Digimon in this particular deck, we can do it 2 more times afterwards very often with this card, and basically minus something for 18k. Really, really powerful. Or we can, you know, spread among different Digimon to minus multiple things at the same time. Super powerful, super cool card, and that's really where the heavy control aspect comes from for this particular build. And sometimes I might even argue you probably want to play 4 copies of this one too. Then for even more control, defensive security, Megadeth still also super powerful. For the low cost memory of 5, you get to suspend one of your opponent's Digimon and return it back to their hand as well. And yeah, this is why you want to be playing as much Lydramons as you can, and sort of like seeing your Davis and Kens as well as much as you can, so that you can use this card and play it from hand as well. Then we got 1 copy of Awakening of the Golden Knight, which lets you sort of warp Digivolve any of your armor forms directly into any Magnamon. You can do Magnamon X, which is super cool, or you can even do a Magnamon on top of a Magnamon as well, and you know, be creative in that way to stack your armor forms. Just really nice for the 3 memory. And also if you have a Digimon with armor form, its traits in play, you get to use this option without meeting color requirements anyways. And with its security effect, helps you recycle Magnamons from your trash back to your hand, so it's always really nice as a one-off tech. Last but not least, for all the options, just 1 Ice Wall, best blue staple option of any blue decks that you play. Therefore, you definitely want to run the 1-off. That's it for a 50 card main deck. There are certainly some few other cards that you can consider adding into this deck to spice it up a little bit more. First and foremost, we do have Angemon right here, which has a lot of great synergy because it can Digivolve on top of a blue level 3 specifically, because all our blue level 3s are going to be VMons. Your turn, when this Digimon would Digivolve, if you have 3 or fewer security cards, you get to recover 1 to set up even more control. Potentially stacking your security with multiple removal effects is really nice, and then, you know, very nice bridging because it also has when attacking, if you have 3 or more security cards, you get to return one of your opponent's Digimon level 3 back to their hand as well. So yeah, pretty neat card just because it also has both colors of blue and yellow, so it has a lot of synergy for sure. Then of course you can run blue memory boost instead if you want to do more searching and gaining more memory. You know, this is always a really nice blue staple to have. There isn't really much to talk about for this particular card anyways, because it's just that good. And then of course there's still armor texture if you like to do, you know, armor purging yourself instead. You can go for some more aggressive plays, letting you Digivolve and then unsuspend. And then with its security effect, letting you play a Digimon card that's level 3 with free in its traits from your hand or trash for free. So yeah, pretty nice as a one-off as well, that I would sometimes recommend. That's it for all the cards that I want to show and talk about with you guys. Now let's go into the combo segment of how you want to be playing this deck and the combos that you want to try to pull off mainly. And it's just very simple because this deck is kind of like control a little bit. It's a little bit different than the traditional Armor Rush. You're not trying to go for aggro, but otherwise you definitely want to be searching as much as you can. Hard play these VMons right here because these were the ones that you always want to be sort of, you know, grabbing your pieces and finding the stuff you need. Establishing your Tamers, Davis and Davis Ken as early as possible is really important. And then these are the ones that you want to digivolve into. You want to digivolve into your VMon. And then otherwise it would also be your starter deck 8-1 right here for draw power. Otherwise this one's great for pushing up early, so it has jamming to pressure opponents and chip them away. If you have a Tamer in play, Wanyamon helps you draw a card so you can find more pieces just like that. Of course, during in between, this is how you want to get into your armor Digimon, you know, by digivolving into Lydramon. You can have early control, suspend one of your opponent's Digimon, and then swing over it as well, which is going to be really nice if you want to go a little bit more aggro or defensive. Magnamon is super versatile because it can unsuspend, it can block, otherwise you can attack as well. Just really good card, and even more control, you can go into Gold Veedramon right here. And by having at least 2 level 4s, this is when you can sort of DNA bridge into your level 5s to help you get into your level 6s eventually as well. So if you ideally, you always want to be going into Shakuman. Shakuman just needs 1 yellow and 1 blue. So with Gold Veedramon right here, you can stack it on top of Lydramon. If you had Magnamon, you can stack that on top as well. And simply go into this guy right here. You know, recover 1. Bounce an opponent's Digimon back to their hand. Earlier you see Shakuman, the higher level stuff you can bounce into. So really great board control right there. Like I mentioned earlier, if you pass memory to your opponents, you get to use the end of turn of VMon to DNA into it, which is absolutely amazing as well. And then Shakuman just simply gives you that control, and that's really all it's there for. Then when you can, that's when you want to be digivolving into your Magnamon X, and then you can go aggressive by using it to chip away your opponent's security as much as you can to help you win those games, and repeat this process over and over again, and then utilize Magnamon X Antibody's body on the presence to stop all your opponent's attacks and make it difficult for them to deal with essentially. If you don't see Shakuman, then you can easily just digivolve into Chimeramon as well, very easily once again to fulfill the 4-color requirements, because often enough you can grab yourself Lydramon, and then you also might have a blue and yellow Digimon underneath its sources, so then you have blue, yellow, green, and white. That fulfills the 4-color conditions to minus 4k, gaining 4k as well during your turn, really strong. And then once again, that's how you want to be bridging into your Magnamon X Antibody. If you have Davis and Ken, you can even suspend it to unsuspend your Magnamon X, you know, for digivolving to make even more swings and more checks and whatnot. And then during the stage of the game, that's when you want to sometimes play your Megadeth and your Heaven's Judgment to control the board even more. And again, repeat the armor purge processes to make it difficult for your opponents to deal with your board, so you can continue to pressure over and over again. That's what you're really trying to go for, and that's how you want to be playing this particular deck. That'll wrap up for the deck profile for today. If you guys enjoyed the video and found it helpful, please give it a like. If you have any suggestions, recommendations, or questions, be sure to share it with everyone in the comments down below. Once again, be sure to subscribe for the upcoming BT13 content, which is coming out real soon. As always, thank you so much for watching. You guys have a great day, great night, wherever you are. See you next video, and this is Vault signing out.